Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to A.O.S Group. And in this channel, we talk about everything related to language studies. If you are currently learning one particular language, be it English, French, Spanish, German, or even Chinese. Also, we assist with language proficiency examinations, like if you're preparing for IELTS or TOEFL or TEF Canada or TCF or even HSK or even um, test DAF for the German language. For all the languages we talked about, we also prepare students for those examinations. Lastly, if you are currently working on your Canada immigration, take for instance your study permit, your work permit, or your even permanent residency applications, we also assist with that. And as you know it already, in this Q&A sessions, we actually talk on things related to immigration, Canada immigration specifically. And we are always scheduled to actually start our Q&A sessions every day, 3 p.m. West African time or 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you have any questions as regards the topic for today, you can actually drop it in the comment section of this video. I will do justice to answering those questions either during this Q&A or in our subsequent ones. Now, today we have the question 259, which was asked by one of our attendees, and the person actually stated that I would like to know more about how I can migrate to Canada without spending so much money. Thank you, by Loveth Eterebhe from Nigeria. And as you know it, all these questions and comments are always extracted from our JAPA to Canada in 2023 webinar Q&As. Now, this is a very good question because it still talks more about how to merry-go-round um, the issue of funding, how to actually go around it, how to, you understand, first of all, save up some money and how to now reduce costs while you are processing your immigration to Canada. And there are quite a lot of ways for you to do this. If, for instance, you are someone that don't even know what Canada immigration is about, or you just got started and you have not really decided on the programs you want to actually pursue, I'll tell you now that you can actually reduce your costs and make the process more affordable by first of all researching the different immigration programs. Now, people fail to focus on this very first important step, and that is why they get first of all scammed by travel agents who will just prey on them and get them to pay for things they don't get the value for, or even perhaps even wasting monies on writing language exams like IELTS without having their so-called very good or excellent result. So the very first thing we try to do at AOS Group is that we would research on the different immigration programs that are available, based on your own application, based on your own based on your own candidacy. If, for instance, you are someone that is educated, the fact that another person who is educated actually went through express entry doesn't mean that you too are to go through that route. Do you understand? So we need to know that if you are a skilled worker, which qualifications do you have? If you are a student, what programs are you currently taking? If you are an entrepreneur, in which line of entrepreneurship are you actually working? If you have family members in Canada, you understand, who are Canadian citizens or permanent residents themselves, we have to know so that we would use that informed biodata in order to carry out a kind of analysis of the province that you can actually relocate to, and also the immigration program you can pursue so that you would not spend so much and you would even tend to save up on all other aspects like avoiding application fees of all other programs that are not fit for your own candidacy. So we will not just waste time on applying for programs that you are not qualified for, but we will center our focus after carrying out that research on immigration programs that you would have much more better chances of getting approvals through. So that is very important, and that is the first process or the first step we would always advise someone to take, which is a process we know at AOS Group as the Canada Immigration Pre-Evaluation process. It is a process whereby we check your eligibility. You understand, based on the various criteria of different immigration programs. And we also give a kind of detailed financial cost that you would incur from the very beginning of the end after you have actually filled the pre-evaluation process form and sent back the response to us for us to evaluate. Now, after that process, the second process is where you actually go through your immigration program. Take for instance, if you want to save up, just like you said, if you don't want to spend so much money, too much money in Canada immigration and want to make it quite affordable, I would advise, if you have years of experience in an in-demand job, you understand, from your home country, I would advise you to actually look through applying through work permits. And if you have the opportunity to get a valid job offer from a Canadian employer right from your home country, you will be able to actually enroll or apply for that work permit. And it will allow you not to just only work in Canada, but you'd also be able to live in Canada temporarily. And even within that period of your work, you understand, you can actually gain the so-called Canadian work experience and be potentially able to qualify for permanent residency at a later time, maybe a year after or 2 years after you actually started working in Canada temporarily. And that would make the process quite affordable for you, because you may not necessarily need to pay or to have the proof of funds if you have a valid job offer which you could just use for your application. And whilst you are actually working, some employers may actually want to sponsor you. Do you understand that they may want to allow you to become a full-time staff of their organization in Canada? And as a result of that, you can actually save so much by them actually taking the bulk of the payment, taking the bulk of the financial fees off your head. Because a lot of immigration, or a lot of Canadian employers would pay for your application, they will pay for your processing, and even pay for your accommodation in some instances. So that could actually help a great deal for you to save up from some funds and not to actually waste so much in into Canada immigration. Now, another way I feel you can actually go around making the process more affordable is that you first of all need to learn language well and improve on your language skills. A lot of people have heard stories of people that took IELTS examinations for 3 times, 4 times, 5 times before they actually got it. And I do always say something: why struggle? Why struggle to write those exams a couple of times if you can just prepare well? You understand, in the very first one, write it at once and make it. It sounds simple to say, but as simple as it is, a lot of people still fail to understand this. You cannot just rush writing IELTS. You can't just rush writing TEF Canada. You can't just rush writing TCF Canada. Even though we say you can actually do, you understand, prepare for the exam, especially IELTS, within 3 to 5 weeks, or prepare for TEF Canada or TCF Canada within 3 to 6 months. That does not mean we are rushing applicants. That does not mean we want you to rush up the process. You can actually take it a step by step. Do you understand? You can focus on learning and finding out your problem areas firstly, because a lot of people would just prepare for, we have 4 language skills, for instance, the speaking, listening, reading, and writing. And a lot of people, when they prepare for IELTS, they focus on just the reading, you understand, and the writing. And that does not cut it, or maybe the reading and the listening, that does not cut it. You also have to prepare for the writing, you have to prepare for the speaking, and as a result of that, you can't just do it on your own. Do you understand? Many people would want to say, okay, what are they doing, or what can I not do myself? That, or perhaps if we tell them to go through a class or go through a program, many of them will say they can do it themselves, they can prepare for IELTS themselves, they can. If you are not someone that have taken the exam before, or if you are not someone that is very accustomed to the way um international people and foreigners, especially English Anglophone speakers, actually speak, if you are not someone that watch a lot of European and American, do you understand, films, and participate in all things related to English, or, and I'm talking about Queen's English now, it may be quite difficult for you to prepare yourself for the exam and also go take it without any external assistance. So I would advise you, if you really want to save up on not spending too much on Canada immigration, you would have to first of all find out what are the ways the Canadian immigration body certifies or qualifies candidates for certain permanent residency programs. And you will know that IELTS, TEF Canada, TCF are one of the ways. So you now have to go a step further and check that, okay, what are the requirements of maybe provincial nominees or provincial provinces or territories in Canada? What are the requirements, the criteria for eligibility for federal government applications? And now check through that their criteria. Take for instance, the express entry will say you should have the 7787, and that is the sequence for speaking 7.0 in the IELTS, listening 8.0 in the IELTS, reading 7.0 in the IELTS, and 7.0 in the writing. That is to say the least you can have, which is going to be like for um for express entry. So if you are going through the process of IELTS and you need the 7877 sequence, then you need to actually get to learn from people that have done either that particular sequence or have surpassed that sequence. So don't be an island trying to learn everything you need to learn at once or by yourself, but also indulge or engage with people. They may be tutors, they may be your friends, they may be your colleagues that have actually surpassed what you are aiming for, and learn from them so that you will save money by not going to write the exam 4 times, 5 times before you make it. Once you have learned very well from them, from their own tutorship, then you can now take it with much more confidence that yes, you are going to ace the exam once and for all. So that's one thing I really want you to look towards. Now, another way you can actually save up or not spend too much on Canada immigration is through applying for scholarships. If you are going to study in Canada, if you are going as an international student, it's going to be a wrong decision for you to just go there and hope that everything is going to be right. And I see a lot of travel agents, I see a lot of people fall into the victims of getting to Canada. Okay, thank you. I heard of a story. I think one of the wife of of an applicant actually reached out to me. That was, I think, last week or the week before. That her husband is currently in Quebec and is studying in one of the schools over there, one of the colleges over there. But as a result of the fact that yes, their travel agents also preached to them that once they get there, they will get a job. Once they get there, you understand, they will be able to use the funds from the job to actually fund their travel. They found out, especially the husband, found out that when he got there, he was not able to get a job quickly. And the school was already requiring him to pay the first installment of the, you understand, tuition. As a result of that, he is on the verge of losing out on his studentship. And that would have a very bad, do you understand, a very bad stain for him at the end of the day if he wants to apply for another visa or another permit, because he may end up getting deported to Nigeria because he couldn't afford to pay the first installment even after getting approved. So the crux of the story is that even if you get the visa, even if, do you understand, you are permitted to move to Canada as as a student, that does not, it doesn't stop there. If you are not part of the rich people, do you understand, that can afford to actually pay the tuition without necessarily getting a job, do you understand, I would advise you, you could actually apply for scholarships that would reduce the burden on you, and scholarships that could either be partial or total, scholarships that would afford you to also get expenses, living expenses paid for, and your tuition paid for. It's not all scholarships that come that way, but for some particular scholarships, they don't just only give you rebate on tuitions, they also reduce the living expenses on you. So you have to research the various kinds of scholarships, and there are thousands of scholarships out there that you can actually use to reduce the financial burden of studying in Canada. Now, another way which I would say is the last way I'll talk about in this Q&A session is that if you want to migrate, if you want to relocate to Canada without spending too much money, you have to consider your settlement. Is very important. Okay, I just talked about one person that settled in Quebec. Quebec still being one of the cheapest provinces to settle. The person or the student, because he went as an international student, he couldn't afford to actually live there. Do you understand? But apart from that, other provinces like Ontario, like British Columbia, where students always like to rush to, especially in big cities like Toronto and Vancouver, I would say that it is a wrong decision for you if you are not boxed up, if you don't have a lot of money to actually relocate to those places, because living expenses in those places are very high. Do you understand? So you can actually consider settling in smaller cities. In Ontario, for instance, you can think of settling in Scarborough. It's very cheap. That's where I'm settling in Canada. It's quite cheap compared to staying in Toronto. If you are in British Columbia, you could go to all other cheaper cities, you understand, or cheaper settlements, cheaper location, and stay there. Saskatchewan, for instance, is also cheap. You can consider going there. Nova Scotia or in the northern provinces too, you could go to those places where housing are cheap and living cost is also cheap, instead of going to big cities where you are going to have to pay so much money in order to afford your daily bread. So you have to consider settling in those smaller cities and towns, so that the cost of living is going to be lower on you. And these places would definitely have affordable housing options for you to save a great deal on you understand, on rentage. And lastly, I would state that some people can even live in big cities, but the idea is for you to cut your clothes according to your size. If you are someone that is, if you are just a person, a single applicant, or if you are a common law partner, if you have your own common law partner and you don't have a kid or children, if you are a couple, you understand, married couple, and you don't have children already, you could consider actually getting a very small accommodation. A studio apartment is wonderful. A small basement is also wonderful. But the idea is, don't go getting 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms that is going to, you understand, take a whole lot of money from you at the get-go, instead of actually settling for less. Do you understand? It's going to help you in saving up money, you understand, that will not allow you to spend too much money on your relocation process. So I hope that answers your question. If you have any further questions as regards um, the topic for today, migrating to Canada without spending so much money, you can actually drop it on the live chat section or on the comment section of this video. And if you want to reach out to us, you can actually reach out on our website www.aosacademy.com. You can also send us an email on admin@aosacademy.com, or even contact us on either our Nigerian number or our Canadian number. So thank you very much once again. And I think if you will also want to take the third route I talked about, getting a job in Canada, you can also check out these top three websites. Job Bank, which a lot of you that are into immigration may know already. Indeed.com or Indeed.ca is also a good website. Monster.ca is also a good website for Canadian jobs. And let me know once you get jobs, and you understand, we would celebrate you on this channel. So thank you very much once again, everyone. And if you have not subscribed, please kindly subscribe to this YouTube channel. Hit on the notification bar to get notified anytime we drop a content. And like and share this video with your friends and your family. Thank you very much, and bye for now. Bye bye.